question.
Okay, and here we go. Let me just set this here.
Okay.
Okay, so this is an interview with Kat King, and we're doing it in child development, and it's for the 5410 class. Okay, well, we're going to start with pregnancy. So, and can we focus on like your first child, which was Brendan, right?
Yeah, Brandon.
Okay, that way we're just focused.
Focus on one.
Yes. Okay, so what were the best and most challenging parts of pregnancy?
Well, the most challenging part of the pregnancy was, and this is going to probably shock you, was I wasn't married at the time, but I got pregnant and I wasn't sure which person was the father. And then there was an issue of race because one guy was white with red hair, and then Dwayne was, yellow with curly black afro hair. And so my greatest fear during my pregnancy was, what's he going to look like? Is he going to come out with white and red hair? Is he going to come out looking like Dwayne? I was down to the day worried. And so when Brandon was born, he looked just like all the other grandkids, just like a little Indian. He just was red-faced. Yeah. And Joey was the same way, red-faced with a lot of hair.
When you say like other grandkids, you mean like
the other mixed grandkids?
Like Julie's child?
Mostly on Dwayne's side.
Dwayne's side, okay.
So it wasn't really obvious at first whose child he was, because Dwayne was mixed. And because Brandon's skin was dark and Brandon had dark red hair, he had dark hair. But Brandon was always very dark skin, dark hair, dark eyebrows.
So then you would say, to sum it up, the most challenging part of your pregnancy was?
Not knowing who the father was.
Was what?
Not knowing who the father was.
That's an interesting answer.
Isn't that fascinating?
Yes.
And you have that element of race.
You had never, okay, let's question number 2. How was labor, delivery, and first 24 hours with the new baby?
Bad. Brandon his head was really big, and for an hour his head was crowned, and I just couldn't push his head out. So the labor was intense, but I ended up being able to do it naturally. And I did not take, it was during the era of taking no pain medicine. So I absolutely did not take 1 ounce of pain medication. And I was like, give me something for the pain. Oh my God. It was too late. It was too late to get me my pain medication, even though I wanted to do it naturally during the time of the labor.
You had the choice from the beginning whether or not to take it or not.
Yes,
so
and I chose not to. Yes.
But then towards the end you chose to.
But I couldn't because I was too far along in my labor for them to give me medication.
Oh, wow.
So I had to kind of buck up, which I did.
So then you're saying the first 24 hours, okay.
Were very painful.
Okay, so, but with the new baby, after he was born, the first 24 hours.
Oh, it was heaven.
Yeah.
It was heaven.
Okay.
I felt like every holiday wrapped in one.
Okay.
Every holiday wrapped in one. I remember I gave birth at like 4 p.m, passed out, woke up at 5 a.m, and got out of bed and walked down a flight of stairs to the basement. I just wanted to see my baby.
Wow, okay.
And
Who was there during the first 3 months of the child's life?
Mommy and Daddy.
Both you and
and the grandparents, yeah. Mommy, Daddy, grandparents, cousins, uncles, yeah.
How did your child, let me say question 3, how did your child progress with developmental milestones such as rolling onto their belly, sitting up, crawling, walking?
Great, all of those things. He started walking at 8 months, which was really early for a baby to walk. And he got his teeth. He was such a good baby.
At what age did language development occur? Words and sentences?
Oh, gosh, he started early. I would say 8, 9 months. Mama, Dada. Yeah. He was reading books by 2.
Wow.
Yeah, okay. We would read Dr. Seuss. And, he was turning the page. He was getting to know how to read early.
Wow. Okay, question 4. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Did your child ever have any sensitivities to sound, being upset to loud noises?
No.
Did he have any vision sensitivity to bright light or vibrating lights?
No. No, not that I'm aware of.
Any sensitivity to tactile things that he would touch or rub?
No. No. He was an easy child. He never complained. I would say he would more or less keep his feelings to him. He was more reserved.
He was reserved?
He was more reserved and cautious. But I mean, he never complained to me about any of that.
Okay.
No.
Let's see.
I have grandkids that are like that on Brandon's side. But
There's a weird part of that question. Did he like to run into things, wanted to hold body pressure, light slamming into others and roughhousing more than other children? He didn't like roughhousing?
He was a very easy person to get along with.
Okay, so wasn't into roughhousing?
No.
Okay.
No.
Did your child ever have any impairment with learning, such as mixing up letters or not being able to memorize things or not understanding math concepts that children of the same age understood?
No. He was always in GATE programs. He read early. I was very involved with Brandon. I mean, I didn't work the first 5 years, but the first 2 years we volunteered at the down the street preschool. So I would work there for free.
Okay.
And it was like a co-op. So you could bring your child there. And we were doing that at 2 years and up.
2 years and up you were volunteering?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I couldn't afford it, but I figured there's a way to do it where I don't have to pay but still get the benefit.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was question 5. This is question 6. Did your child ever have a problem over focusing on something and becoming upset when it was time to change activities?
No. Again, he went to bed when he was supposed to go to bed. I had him on a really good schedule, and he was a very easy child, even through junior high, and I mean, he never had issues.
Okay, did Brandon ever have problems being easily distracted or needing to move while learning?
A little, yeah. Yeah, he would become distracted, and he would lose things as he got older.
Okay, he would lose things.
Misplace things a lot.
Okay. Question 7. Did your pre-K to 2nd grade child, Brendan, ever have any problems with understanding social norms around touch or play, such as school-age child who hugs others without asking or likes to kiss other children, or a child who doesn't want to engage and play with others? He
was very age appropriate, and I mean, he never would touch other people, like go and give it, he would his grandma and cousins and things like that. But, he kept to himself. He was a little boy that didn't engage. Someone would have to engage him first.
Okay, and number 8. Describe the types of friendships Brendan developed in late elementary school, 4th to 6th grade.
Very close friendships. We would go over and have house visits on the weekends. His friends would come over to our house and play, and he kept them throughout the years, the same friends.
For a long time.
For a long time. But maybe 2 or 3 tops, but he kept them throughout his childhood.
Okay, and 9. Describe any out-of-school activities such as sports, music, art, theater that Brendan participated in.
A lot of art, and we did a lot of swimming. He was involved on a swim team. He played football, and he was on basketball leagues, seasonal. So we were always doing something, and he loved art. He loved to draw, and he loves to read. He loves reading and has always loved reading.
Okay. 10. What was the best part of the first 5 years of Brendan's life?
The best parts were when we would talk about it. and talk about it. We would, from 2 to 5, I was a stay-at-home mom, and we would nap after lunch, we would lay down in his bed, and we would go, okay, what do we want to talk about today's events? We would talk about, let's talk about it, just generic, and we'd come up with topics that, what was going on in the world, what the weather was like. And we just learned a lot about each other through those little conversations.
So you say the best part would be talking with Brendan
Yes,
in those years?
talking with him and
Okay.
learning about each other, yeah.
And 10.5, what were the greatest challenges during that time, the first 5 years?
I think the greatest challenges were contacting the father,
Oh,
because I eventually had to, and when to tell Brandon. And I told Brandon when he was in the 7th grade.
told him what?
Who his real dad was, because
he
it
didn't
turned
know?
out that it wasn't Dwayne.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So
Okay.
the greatest challenges, I think, were still trying to convince the father that it's okay that you're not the biological father, but because race played a role in it, and Joey had a brother who was a half brother, I needed to be honest with him. I knew that I would tell Brandon that, number one, he had a different dad, and number two, he's not part black. I had to,
Okay.
because Joey was, and there were too many people in the family that knew that secret, and he wasn't going to hear it from anyone else but me.
Yeah, because Joey looks more Caucasian,
Yeah.
I think, than Brendan.
But he looks a lot like his dad.
Oh, okay.
Joey's identical to his dad,
Yeah.
and Brandon looks like he's got black in him.
That's interesting. That's very
It
interesting.
is, but yeah.
Did he ever meet his real father?
He met his real father, and they've met up several times. In fact, his father just came down this last summer and played with the grandkids.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
All right. So, what was the best part of your child's life between the ages of 6 and 11?
That was the hardest ages. 6 and 11, I think, was coming. When he was 11 is when I told him about his dad.
Okay.
But I didn't want to wait until he was in his teens, because I didn't know what to expect from him during his teen years, like drinking, drugs. And so I wanted to be able to tell Brandon before, kind of in the beginning of puberty, but just kind of where I could deal with it. I wasn't sure how puberty would play, you know what I mean? If they got into their older ages, and then tell him then. I wanted to tell him, not when he was 5, but when he was old enough to understand. And so I think it was 11 when I told him. That was very hard.
Okay.
He was
So, would you say that was the greatest challenge during that time?
Yep. Telling him who his real dad was.
Telling him what your real dad was. Okay. And 12, and what is the best part of your child's life now?
I think the best part of my son's life now is his family, his relationship with his wife, and his relationship with his kids. He's doing great. His artwork is doing good. His job is doing well. His whole family life is doing well. He's very happy.
Okay. And what are the greatest challenges at this time?
I think he still works on his feeling. His wife told me that they go to therapy as a precaution, like preventive. They do therapy, and I guess he's very sensitive.
Okay.
Yeah, she said that, and she's not very sensitive. So
Well, she's not as sensitive as he is?
correct, and not as
Wow.
much of a communicator. Brandon's a communicator, and she's not. So they struggle with that.
Okay.